All right, people, I want us to do this quick one. I just stumbled upon this. It's about the difference between the US debts and the African debts. And that is why they keep trying their best to put us into the debts by devaluing our currencies to get lower every day to the dollar. Does it not surprise you that no matter what it is, no matter how countries in Africa tries, they keep getting deeper into debts and things does not work out because there are a body of people that keep making these things to be the way they are, so that they keep hanging in there as a world power, while other continents like Africa obviously will keep dying down in the debts that they owe, and that these debts will never be payable. They know that they keep giving out these debts in their currency. They will never give debts. They will never give us loans based on our own currency. We keep collecting these loans based on the US currency. We keep collecting these loans based on the currency they want us to collect these loans in. Now, why giving us money in the currencies we don't even use? That is why we keep hanging in this debt. I don't know when, if ever, we would be able to pay it. Because this is their agenda. This is what they want. Now let's get right into the video to get to see some of the things that we should talk about.
Thank you. I have a question. What's the difference between the U.S. debt and the debt that African nations own? Because the U.S. debt doesn't keep the U.S. from being one of the leading powers of the world, but then African nations can't make it because of that debt that is strangling them.
Okay. The first question is a very important question. What makes African and third world debt different from the American debt? Number one, America is never going to pay its debts. It doesn't have to. Its debts are in its own currency. We can simply print it. The African debt is not in its currency. The African debt is in US dollars. Africa has to earn the US dollars, and the only way it can earn the US dollars is not to be assassinated for growing its own food and becoming independent and doing something that the United States does not like. The principle underlying the foundation of the World Bank, the International Bank for IBRD, research, the World Bank, is that no country should grow its own food. Africa and the third world should only grow export crops. To export, in order to have an oversupply of cocoa and other tropical raw materials, to keep down the price, they must buy their grain from the United States or Europe, so that if they do something that we don't like, we can do what America tried to do to China in the 60s. We can sanction them. We can say, we're going to starve you. We're going to not export any grain to you. So owing their foreign debt in dollars means that they have to somehow sell something that the United States wants, not what they want. I think the most evil organizations in the world today are the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. And my book, Super Imperialism, that I wrote in 1972, is all about that. The largest purchasers of the book were the Defense Department and the CIA. I was immediately, the organization I worked for was given a $75,000, $85,000 Defense Department contract for me to come to explain to them how American imperialism worked, and they used it as a how to do it book. They thought it was just spontaneous, and I had written the book thinking that socialists and third world countries would do something about it, and indeed it was translated into Spanish and other languages. But it was really the Defense Department that applied most of this, and I was amazed when I was invited to the White House to explain how imperialism worked. And my boss said, "We've run rings around the British imperialists. This is how to do it. You make them owe the debts in your currency, not their own. You control their central bank and make them financially dependent on you, and then you've got a stranglehold for them. So certainly the third world countries should cancel the debts under the odious debt principle. I haven't been able to convince any of them to do it because they said if we do that, the CIA will kill us. So how do you break that cycle? That's a problem I've not been able to solve.
The other thing, when you were responding to the first question, there's also something we're suffering from in Africa, the devaluation of currency as another way of
Devaluation of
the currency.
currency, yes.
As a way of keeping us dependent continuously.
That's a good point. When a country devalues a currency, what are they devaluing? Well, you know, there's a world price for grain, a world price for aluminum, a world price for raw materials. The only thing that they can really devalue is the price of their labor. So when Africa or Latin America or Greece is told to, or America is told to devalue the currency, what that means is pay labor less. You have to squeeze out more to pay the top of the economic pyramid, to suck it all up to the top 10% or 1% or 0.1%. So devaluation is basically an anti-labor policy to prevent a domestic market and prosperity from developing. That is why China and Russia are saying, we don't want to be part of the dollar area. We want our own currency, and we'll only borrow in our own debt. Last time I went to China, it was a little annoying because they insisted in paying me in yuan, which
When you look at this pic and read whatever is written on, can you explain why Gaddafi died? Do you understand why John Pombe Magufuli of Tanzania died? Do you understand why Marcus Garvey? Do you understand why Julius Nyerere? Do you understand why the Kwame Nkrumah died? Because they would never allow this kind of nonsense. They knew the strength of the continent. They knew the wealth of the continent, and they would only love to exploit their own mineral wealth to enrich their continent. And they would not allow the foolishness of these white billionaires to come and exploit Africa. But currently, the African leaders are just smiling when they hear that there were billionaires coming with the 850 billion. African leaders put on their smiles. The current ones, they're full of money minded. They are wealthy men, still greedy. They will never think of African future. They cannot think that 850 billion is brought to exploit their own land. They think that the white man can spend 850 billion of his wealth just spending on Africa. Do you think that this guy can spend this money without a darker motive? African leaders never think of this. Those who think critically and in line with African glory are murdered. They are eliminated.
This is how they want to hang us into what they have created for us. And it's quite unfortunate. Because a lot of our leaders know about this and they are playing along. Is it fear? Is it out of, okay, I don't care. Whenever I'm done with my tenure, 8 years, I'm going to leave and someone else take over? Is it because they themselves are also lobbying to become citizens of other nations aside the countries or continents they're serving or they originate from? Is it because we feel that we do not have other option than to play along? What do you think? Because by day, it wouldn't stop. It would not. It will continue. By day, our currencies become nothing. You go to the market to buy things, like you get there with a particular amount of money, and before you know it's gone because of the rate at which things are being, the prices of things are skyrocketed to. You wouldn't be able to manage even what you have been managing 2 months ago because of the way things are, the way the economy is becoming. And all thanks to those who claim they are in charge. They are world power. And then all thanks to those who represent us that cannot open their mouths to talk, like you heard him. You heard him, like he said, that most of these things they know about it, but they can't say anything because they say and they shut them up. Leave your thoughts and comment there in the section, and I'll see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive. Bye for now.